All right. So I'll just begin with a very cue light, just kind of guide us through some moves. So we'll start by connecting to breath. It's however you establish contact with breath. You can receive an impression of how enlarged, how expanded that breath contact is. So we can get a sense of my establishing breath contact in a narrow region of the body or a broad, expansive way. So how we experience our breath is subject to confinement or boundariedness or expansiveness. So there's a quality of spatiality. And this is what I think is so incredibly fun and interesting, is how that boundaried sense of self, the spatiality, how expanded or confined is a function of just our relationship to consciousness, how our perspective is developing to receive, to know consciousness. Just so fun. So I just want to say that as a way of saying this is highly variable. And I want to start at the distal heart and move more closely to the more central heart. So the distal heart is really the whole body, but we'll go with the fingertips, a very specific distal part of our heart. So I'm placing the fingertips on the ground and just exerting a light pressure. And I'm really getting the placement and the weight distribution to enhance sensing in the fingertips. And as long as there's light tensioning through the palm, wrist, and forearm, I can intone moving my thumbs apart from one another. So it's a rotation, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. My fingertips remain stationary, and I'm just intoning this rotation through my palms and forearms and letting that carry me right up through the elbow to the bicep. And just patiently waiting with the stretch, with the sensation, till a deeper or fuller breath comes online. And release. Inhale, let's draw the arms out to the side. So now instead of kind of turning a stationary elbow joint, now we'll just keep rotating and rolling and gliding through the elbow and the shoulder joint. We'll turn the palms up, and then exhaling, we'll turn the palms down. So it's just external and internal rotation. So as we inhale, it seems to biologically match kind of the expansional move where the front of the body enlarges and expands, or palms up. And then as I exhale, palms down, which seems to biologically match a slight closure of the front of the body and an expansion of the back of the body. Let's do several more rounds. This is both a shoulder warmer, a joint lubricant, breath enhancer. Just getting very simple movements corresponding with our breath. If you have any pain in the shoulder, you may have to change the altitude of the arms. So if you're feeling pain in, say, the front or the top of the shoulder, maybe just try lowering the arms. You can likely still do the rotation, but you may just have to hold your hands not as high off the ground. We'll just stay in our cross-legged position. Exhale the left elbow over the right elbow, eagle. And letting this eagle just kind of enhance our sensitivity for the back of the heart, back of the neck. So the poses just become pointing instructions. And then attentionally, I can make that internal move of going to the back of my body, feeling or inhabiting the back side where the pose seems to point to. And then inhaling, we'll unwind the arms. We'll switch the cross of our legs. And we'll change the cross of our arms, eagle. So now we'll go right over left. The pose is just a pointing instruction. And then the loving awareness that I move into that area with. I can simply be just a good observer, a sense observer. And I bring a quality of interest and curiosity, kindness into these areas of the body. What do I notice occur? What changes? How do I experience my body through the lens of loving interest? Okay. And then inhale, we'll unwind the arms. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of a twist, but with some leg separation. So having unwound the arms, I'm going to set my right foot on the ground and my left leg widely apart. Just whatever allows me to still remain upright. Okay. So if my legs were both straightened, I'd kind of make a V, and I've just drawn in. Hope that's evident. Okay. Right arm on the inside of right leg. Now I'm adjusting my right foot so I can feel my right sit bone on the ground. That's highly dependent on your bone length and, okay. So my right arm's tucked in here, and then inhaling, I'm going to prop the left hand either on the ground or a wall, just whatever allows me to use a block. Ha-ha. Whatever allows me to feel like I'm growing taller. So as I'm exhaling, I'm turning. Really, my chest is turning toward my straightened leg. Engage the left leg. Engage the quadriceps. There's a likelihood this left leg may want to rotate or toes kind of drop to the outside. I'll just keep reaching through the inner leg. So there may be a little push-pull. And so if I'm pressing with this right arm, it's putting a good amount of nudge into this inner right groin. So this inner right leg certainly can kind of press back into the arm or allow that little bit of groin stretch if that's what you like. Okay. Now we're going to switch this into a Triang Mukta, so a fold. So let me release this right arm, and I'm planting this right thigh to the ground. And turn a little bit more. My foot that's flexed, I point. Okay. Now at this point, well, traditionally, if I have one leg in this Virasana and one leg straight, I would bring my knees really closely together. But I also want to allow for this V shape because sometimes that just works a little bit better on backs and bellies. Okay. I'm kind of enjoying exploring the inner legs myself, so I'm going to put a block between my two thighs, give it a hearty squeeze, and then we'll fold forward. So again, these legs could be brought apart. These legs can be squeezed or brought together. It really just depends on your sacrum, your abdomen, your groin. Now, if you're choosing to squeeze and keep the legs together, this is a really cool, great inner leg move. And inhale, we'll walk our way up. And we'll do that on the other side. So now I straighten my right leg. And my left knee is bent. Okay? This is just coming out of like a V-sit or, right? I've got my left sit bone on the ground, and I'm twisting to the right. So here's my left arm on the inside of my left thigh. I'm using my hand on a block. I'm pushed up against the corner, so I'm like super propped up. And then we're twisting again. It's the chest is rotating toward my straight leg. The tendency of this right leg to kind of roll out is high, so I engage the inner leg, contract the quads. My left arm nudges that left thigh. And it really depends on the shape of your hip and the nature of your groin today. But you may want to nudge your left leg into the arm. You may want to let that leg receive the nudge, like a stretch. So you really have to kind of play with it a bit. Okay, and release the left arm and set this left leg down to the ground. Pointing my left foot, so you see how this is a half Virasana. And so, half Virasana left leg, straightened right leg. I can leave my legs with some opening for a fold. I'm going to squeeze a block with my inner legs and fold. Okay. Here is our forward fold. If you choose to squeeze, it's, I think, such a fascinating inner leg study. So keep that squeeze quite steady. I think you might be surprised. I guess I should say, just as I'm thinking about this, you could place an object between your legs that's wider, right? So I could have that V shape and an object, and I could engage the squeeze. So many options. I hope I'm not creating more confusion. And if you want me to light the room a little bit better for visibility, just let me know and I'll throw on a light switch. And release. Cool. Let's set up for some dolphin, shall we? We can go elbows and knees. And on exhale, we'll press our way up. So we started our practice in the fingertips. all the way up through the elbows, into the shoulder, the backside, down to the groin and the sacrum. In the Eastern traditions and the fascial continuums, there's this kind of swath of bodily structure that extends from the pubic bone all the way through the arms. Pubic bone's the front of the body, the chest, the arms, the fingertips. This whole. Sometimes just knowing about certain maps and the way various traditions have mapped our bodies, our structures, our growth can just help us focus in new ways, can help us see our body and remember our body's integratedness, its all-connectedness. Very self-supporting self, the self-transforming self. And really inhaling, we'll set the knees down. Cool. So I'd like to propose a novel twist using a wall. So I would like to show it to you first. So often we've done a twist with a wall crouching. I'm placing an object between my legs and I am right against the wall. My side is contacting the wall. And this way, my shoulder and my hip are, well, they're together, and so I'm pushing my right arm into the wall. Now, I don't know if my left arm will touch the wall. It doesn't need to. I don't know if I'll be able to reach my left arm out. We'll just find out. The shoulder may like it or may prefer this, okay? So I'm using the wall almost to kind of clamshell open my body. So take an object that you can have between your legs. I recommend the knees or the thighs or the calves. And then we'll take a little micro crouch. And my butt and my side, I'm right on the wall. So I'm leaving a body print on the wall. The arm that's closest to the wall, I plant that arm against it. Yep. And now inhaling, open up the chest away from the wall. So I'm literally prying open by pressing my wall arm. Now I'm still squeezing the object, so my knees would tend to wag away from the wall. So I just hug that object so I can keep my hips, my knees all, there you go. There you go. Mm-hmm. And I think what I really like about this is it helps one receive the impression of an active back of shoulder as part of the twist. So just getting to observe. I think that's a part of our twists that maybe our people, our practitioners, maybe leave out. Maybe we leave that shoulder a little loosey-goosey. And I think this is a really nice way to just play with a steady, stable shoulder within the framework of a twist. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah, exactly. And I hope this feels really nice on back, so. All right. So when we release this side, we'll just switch over to the other. And so again, I'll just talk through it. I have an object, a block between my knees. For me, it's my left hip, but your hip and your side body contacting the wall. The arm nearest the wall, from blade to elbow, contacts the wall. I'm crouching and I'm twisting away from the wall. So those of you with a sensitive or a highly mobile sacrum may like that the squeezing of the object helps steady the sacrum. You can track the stability or the movement of your sacrum with this object. I think I also really like how the foot contact guides how I'm twisting and moving through my spine. Yeah, squeeze that right knee in. Yeah. Yeah, the tendency is for the knees to wag away from the wall. Mm-hmm. I almost have to hug, squeeze my knees in to keep them close to the wall. There we go. I think that's plenty. Let's release there. Let's stay near the wall, and we'll take some dolphin at the wall. Since you're familiar with it, we can just talk and move into it. So dolphin at the wall starts with a dolphin setup with the feet near the baseboard. As we exhale, we'd press the knees off the ground. Just test our spacing, ensure we're not too close, not too far. And inhale, we'll step 1 foot hip height. Already my forearms pressing even more. Exhale, the other foot up. There we go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about we give it another 4 or 5 breaths? You're You're a strong group. Mm-hmm. There you go. You know, there's times in our lives, in our months, in our just times in our bodies where joints may feel more mobile than at other times. And in those times, sometimes I like to engage in very supportive, stabilizing ways around the joints. So I was just noticing myself when I was upside down, kind of isometrically piking or pulling my toes toward my abdomen. So it created an enormous amount of work in the hip flexor and the abdomen area, but it also helped me just keep super, super stable. So it's not I can do it again. It's not a movement per se, but I can show you the action. So if I were upside down, one is I could just shove my feet into the wall and just wait it out, which is great. But I'll just show you with a free leg. If I actively pull my feet toward my elbows, there's a radically different engagement of my hip flexors. Okay. It still looks like my feet are on the wall, but as I'm upside down, I'm engaging as if I'm pulling my toes at my elbows, and it just engages things in a very different way around the midsection and the back. Yeah, cool. All right. Let's move away from the wall for a moment. I'd like to take a wide stance. For an alternate on flank stretch. Okay, usually we do flank stretch where you reach all the way across our body and grab an ankle. For this flank stretch, I'm not going to reach that far at all. So I'm going to reach, let's say it's my left hand reaching across to the right half and just planting that somewhere. Now watch this, if you can see this. I'll bend my left knee. Okay, so we'll get the flank stretch when we bend one leg instead of far reaching. So I'll speak through it again. Wide stance, fold. I place my left palm somewhere near my right foot. It's on the ground comfortably. I'm just palming the floor. And I take my right palm and I hold my left hand on the ground. Now, so far, not a big stretch, not a big much. My left elbow's bent. But I start to get into the flank as I keep right leg straight, bend left knee. So you notice we're kind of moving into an iteration of that pose from the very beginning of our class. Now, how much will you bend your left knee? I don't know. It's just going to be contingent on your flank. To me, I feel that this flank stretch goes a little bit lower in my torso, like near the hip, than it does up by the shoulder blade, which I'm preferring. Okay. So I'll just say it all over again because I know you're upside down and you may not be seeing the screen. My right leg is straight and I'm gradually bending my left knee, which kind of draws my whole chest, my whole flank to the left. Then breathing into the left side hip, left side waist. Release just by straightening the left leg. Okay. So our legs are still in a wide neutral stance. Let's do the other side. Palm, right palm to floor on the left half of my mat. Left palm, hold the right palm down. Leave a little bend in the right elbow and start to bend only the right knee. So just by bending my right knee, I'm in a sense pulling my body to the right. Okay. The other thing I kind of love about this way of getting into the side of the body is if you have that skillfulness of rotating your right thigh bone, if you can, use your right foot on the ground and feel your thigh bone rotating, you'll get into some marvelously cool low back and hip bone area tissues. So just how your right foot arches and contacts and pressures the ground will rotate that right thigh bone. You'll feel that in your back and that lumbar fascia. Good. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Heel toe the feet together. And then grab an object again. It's for the legs to have and to hold. So, you can go narrow or medium. I think I'll go medium width. We'll be working a side bend from standing with object between legs. If you're back sensitive, you might want to do it with both of your cheeks touching the wall. It just can help you gauge if you're rotating or turning your pelvis in space. Okay. Right hand to right leg, inhale, the left arm up. Keep squeezing that object, exhaling, lifting the trunk away from the block. Now I'm going to place my right palm kind of at my upper hip. So I make like a little teapot handle. Right. Now, very often I suggest that we simply reach or lean. But I'm propped up and I can actually activate like I'm curling, like I'm trying to bend my body to the right. Now, of course, I'm not moving any further to the right, but as I activate, like I really want to fold my body to my thigh, I can open up perhaps that left side, the really deep parts of those low back muscles, way deep in there. Now inhale, use your right hand to push, your left arm to reach, come all the way upright first. Take some breaths that's standing, especially those deep breaths that reach those low back bones. I hope I'm being clear. I hope I'm not creating more confusion. I just wanted to offer the option of we can just kind of hang over to the side, or I could actively bend my body to the side. It's a very different effect. Here goes my left hand to my left thigh. Inhale the right arm up. Now I'm going to actively bend my body to the left just because I know my back and my tissues will tolerate it fine. I'm using my left hand like a shim, so I can't actually bend, but I'm going to enact bend. Like I'm really trying to bend my left ribs down toward my left side hip. And as I actively bend, though I go nowhere, there's a lot of things that turn on in the back. There's a lot of things that turn on in the inner hip. Inhale, come upright smoothly. And stay vertical for a few breaths just to kind of re-inhabit that back. We'll just separate our legs back out. We'll just set ourselves up into a warrior two. We'll go left foot forward, or I should say left leg bent, warrior two. And inhale, draw the arms out to the side. Now I realize I'm not bending right now in warrior two, but I can, I'm putting this in big old air quotes, bend my body to the right, not bending, but I can activate that lengthening and softening through the left side of my body. So again, I'm not physically or concretely bending to my right, but I can enact that. And start to breathe into the left side of my hip and ribs. So with that left side of my body a little bit freer, I'm going to lengthen out and set that left arm on the thigh. Draw the right arm up. So now I can play that move that we did at the wall. Right? My left arm is braced, it's steady, it's stationary, and I can kind of clamshell open my torso. And let these deep washes of breath start to move through all of these very lymphatic, these lymph node dense areas of the body, right? The groin, the gut. All of these nodes in and around the breast tissue, the sternum, the ribs, the clavicle, neck, the bicep area. They're all the places in the body the body's trying to move or aggregate whatever it needs to dispose of. All right, we can take this into an extended warrior. Leave the left arm on your thigh. Draw the right arm overhead. Now, I realize I might say something that sounds a little bit non-rational. We're an extended warrior. And even though we're not side bending to the right, I can enact side bend to the right. Exactly, right? And then you can feel the left side of your ribs and your trunk soften and lengthen. Yeah, exactly. So while I'm not side bending physically, I can enact, like I'm pulling myself to the right. Inhale, bring the hands down. Exhale, we'll step back into downward dog. Just downward dog. And in our downward dog, you can feel the sides of the body. Wow. You feel the arms, do the arm lengths. Do they feel the same length? Do the ribs feel the density or the spaciousness of the rib area, the intestinal area, the abdominal area? Feel the quality of freedom or spaciousness or density or impact around the hip creases and the legs. Inhale, step the right foot forward, warrior two. So we're kind of setting this all up kind of on a premise. That premise of a stymied side bend, right? I'm not side bending, it's not reverse warrior, but I could play as if I'm side bending to my left. Why would I do that? You feel that relationship between the ribs and the right hip crease. Just if I play strongly bending to the left, not bending, not actually bending. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going to keep that lengthiness of the right side of the ribs, setting the right forearm down. The left arm reaching up. And here's another iteration of that clamshelling open our arms and our chest. My sense is that many of us will start to contract around the right hip as we move into this. So kind of grab and find we may get a stability, a short-term stability by grabbing around our right hip, but lengthening through the right ribs. There. Breath can reach the right hip. Mm-hmm. There you go. There you go. All right, now here's that extended warrior move. Leave the right forearm on your thigh. Draw the left arm overhead. Now I'm not side bending to my left, but I can enact it. So I'm softening and lengthening the right side of the ribs. Plus, it gets me to press that right foot into the ground. And inhale, we'll set the hands down for downward dog. Exhaling, we'll step back. All right. Now, reverse warrior. Inhale the left foot forward, so a warrior 2 stance. Exhaling the right hand down, the left arm up. So I'm going to recommend we do this how we usually do it. Just use the right hand to support. Now, as the legs get really strong, supporting and the back is comfortable, right? I can start to really slide that right hand down. I can start to really reach my body away from my left thigh. I should show you an alternate here. You can just stay in reverse warrior for a moment more. I just want to make visual some options when the back is, So if you have those days or those moments where the back is a little bit like less stable feeling, I just want you to briefly see for a moment that we can get a really sweet support reverse warrior like so. I may have to come out of the stance a little bit, but I just want you to see it. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of these poses we're playing with today, and we can start to exit this. Inhale, come on up, over. We'll set the right knee down for twisting pigeon toward the foot. These poses I'm suggesting are really, they're contingent on us feeling supple and supported in the low back and in the sacrum and in this low back tissue. So, all right, here we are, pigeon. My left leg is forward. It's down on the ground. And we can grab or elbow latch onto our foot. And let's inhale, unwind. Downward dog. We'll slip that left heel under our pelvis to press back. Part of feeling the expansion of one's body and one's breath, feeling the spaciousness, is moving in that trajectory. So in downward dog, how would I intone expansion? Well, I could start to move my hips away from my armpits. I could start to grow or lengthen through the arms. I could intone these trajectories of length. And sometimes it's only when I start to play as if bigger boundaries, I start to feel, oh, there is more play, there's more spaciousness. Reverse warrior. Inhale the right foot forward. All right, so I'm just moving directly into reverse warrior, and if you needed to see that alternate, that supported version, I can do that. Yeah. Inhale, bring that right arm up, over, and here's that pigeon twisting toward the foot. So we go left knee down, walk the right leg down to the ground, and then we can move, twist, or reach for the right foot. Inhaling, unwind, hands under shoulders. Exhaling, downward dog. Let's gently set the knees down. I would love to do a little hero's pose, or rather half Virasana. Let me show you the version I'm imagining, and then we can discuss props if needed. I'll show you my left leg back in half Virasana. Okay. So the first way I'm showing you will presume that we're taking the back to the ground, the shoulder blades to the ground. Oops, let me get a strap nearby. Okay, so first, I'm showing you back to ground, so that's the caveat. Okay. So 1, I can just lie, that might be adequate. 2, I can grab in this case it's my right leg, drawing it toward the chest. Or 3, if you're having a flexible life moment, you could draw the straightened leg toward your nose. Okay. So all of that presumes shoulder blades on ground. That's not always the case. You may need to load up a bunch of blankets And even if you don't need to see this, I'll just put it on the footage. So you might have a nice cushion, or so that I can load up a bunch of altitude, nice soft cushiony altitude. And then I can lie my back down. I'm just being supported higher off the ground. So it's very forgiving on my low back. All right. What do we got? What should we? So if you're having a back tender chapter, I would recommend, I'm showing 6 inches of blankets behind my butt. Okay. So let's just do one side. Let's give it, about at least 8 or 10 breaths before we switch sides. I'll give a verbal indicator of about when we can switch sides. This is where everyone disappears off screen, so I trust you're getting the version that's right for you. All right, so begin just thinking about your exit strategy. So one might be to set that right leg down to the ground. You might have to roll to a side to free up your Virasana leg. My tissues are fairly warm right now, so I can kind of open up my bent leg all right. But if it were colder, I might have to take a lot more time to open up my tissues, to open up my knee angle. So, all right. So getting into the other side, my preference is I start from seated. I get my half Virasana from an upright seated position. I'll walk my way back. Then we can always play with the other leg's position. All right. So start to consider your exit. Unbending and exiting just very carefully. Those are some significant deep bends in the ankle and the knee. So just take your time opening things up again. Remain lying on your back. And we'll take the feet off the ground. In just a moment, we'll move them into a Baddha Konasana, but just for now, if you can be on your back, just pick the feet up off the back. There's just a very subtle kind of abdominal and spinal engagement when we're lying and we pick our feet up. So I just want to take some breaths with our feet off the ground. Some people benefit from light rolling. So to address the back, to move the back in very small, meaningful ways, you might just roll from side to side. And I do that with a very controlled roll. So, so I'm never going on momentum. Could start and stop the roll at any time. That's a very nice degree of abdominal engagement. And now the Baddha Konasana that you are willing to play with. So I've got my feet in my hands, and if I keep my feet low next to my pelvis, more of my back stays on the ground. As I bring my feet over my sternum, the low back starts to round away from the ground. So you may want to keep your back on the ground. You might want to round it slightly. I'm going to let you decide how to treat the lower portion of your spine in this final pose. Again, the pose is just a pointing instruction. What is it pointing to? Well, if I follow the sense, the region is my hips or my back. And as I move into my hips or my back with loving curiosity, interest, kindness, wonderment, how do I experience being in my back, being in that part of my body? We'll release the feet for Shavasana. You might like leaving the knees bent. You could tent them together. You could use some of those blankets to prop the knees up, but choose a lying position that requires little energy, very little attentional shifts, where the body can simply be for a moment. And can you allow for the mind of your breath to expand? And I'm saying the mind of our breath, just to decouple it from the physicality of our breath. So our tracking of and staying with our breath. Can we track the expansiveness of our breath? So we can experience our breath as wholly inclusive of our body, but not confined to or boundaried by our physical body. I'll say that again. Can I track my breath in that expansive trajectory? So my breath wholly includes my body, but is not boundaried exclusively by my physical body. And when you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side. And press to seated. Thanks for the play date. Namaste.